Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Born Too Late podcast, where I, Jay Castro, and my friend that's standing not standing, but he's appearing next to me, Josh Rutledge, we talk to musicians, journalists, broadcasters, label. You know what, Josh? This whole cat thing that we were just talking about has me rattled. So let me start this over. And it's hard to be enthusiastic because I'm thinking about your cat and my cat. And
yeah.
It's like, okay. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Born Too Late podcast, where I, Jay Castro, and my friend here, Josh Rutledge, talk to musicians, journalists, broadcasters, label owners, or anyone else making a huge fuss in the world of underground music right now. Tonight, we have the head honcho, the big cheese, if you will, of the Atlanta-based record label Spaghetty Town Records, one of the best rock and roll labels out there doing their thing right now. Spaghetty Town has released some monster records out into this world by bands like Fast Eddie, Faz Waltz, Ravagers, and our bud Brad Marino. So, without further delay, welcome to the Teddy Spaghetty episode.
When every day's feeling like a Monday morning, staying out late, kinda gets boring. Do what you want when you wanna do something now. I'm getting older by day, younger at night. I need a little something to feel alright. Yeah, do what you want when you wanna do something now. Yeah, you do what you want when you wanna do something now. Chances are you've made some choices, but I'll hear no inner voice.
Bing, bing.
Good.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. That's the way it ought to be.
Yeah. Sometimes it's silly. Like the way I structure the intro, like it's a guess. Like, hey, you don't know who we have. It's like, yeah, you do, because it's in the title. You know?
Tonight, it's a mystery guest.
Yeah.
Nobody actually listened to it because they didn't know who the guest was.
You just blindly clicked on the episode and didn't.
And they all missed Johnny Rotten.
Yeah. All right, let me click him in here.
Okay, maybe now.
Test.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. You sound good. I hope we do too.
Yeah. You guys sound great.
Awesome.
Which is weird because you guys have fancy microphones and I do not.
Goes to show you how much it really makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Well, Jay's got the real microphone.
I saw he has a fancy Shure.
Well, it's like the budget Shure. It's not like it's not like the what's that? I can't remember that bald dude that has the
Joe Rogan.
Yeah. It's not like the Joe Rogan model. Like the $500. I think this cost me like a couple $100.
That's still pretty good money spent. I wish all those experts on TV would spend a little money. Because they always have like terrible, they're all granulated on TV with like my microphone like I have, and I'm like, you're on CNN and you sound like garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be. I mean, if you're gonna do it like week after week, and you're gonna have like a show, then probably
I know in the beginning of COVID days when they had all the experts, someone was like, well, no, apparently there was like everyone went out and bought microphones and webcams, and they kind of made it hard.
Oh yeah, not just that, but schools that were doing at home that cut it. Because I went to Best Buy to get a mic, and they're like, dude, we have nothing, because everyone's getting them for schools, everybody's doing podcasts, everybody for work at home.
Makes total sense.
Nothing. Yeah. So it like dried it out, but it's probably better now. Now you can get a super cheap mic if you go on like Craigslist or whatever, or like OfferUp. Yeah, because everybody's giving them back now.
That also makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, it's time to step it up.
Absolutely. I don't know how much longer I can go with whatever these are.
So that's not a gaming headset, is it?
Yeah, yes, like I guess it's a gaming headset.
I think some of those are pretty nice too.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of times he sounds louder than all of us because of your so. I mean, it works, man.
Yeah, I mean, I needed it for work, so it was good to have it when we started doing this podcast.
So by work you mean audio ammunition, right?
No, the remote teaching.
Oh, you remote. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's
That would be
it's kind of necessary for people to hear me.
No,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. totally makes sense.
Yeah. So how are you doing? You're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it's fucking hot, man. It's
Pretty
really
humid, huh?
It's vile. It's like every day around 100, but also just humid. Like you walk outside and like that air just it hits you like really hard. Immediately, like as soon as you step out, you're just like, oh God. And I work outside, so it's just terrible.
Have you lived there all your life?
No, I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, but it gets pretty humid there too, huh?
Yeah, so it gets humid, but like I was saying to someone, like you didn't get it for as long. Like here, it'll be the next couple months. Like there, you get it for like a terrible month. It's gross, it's disgusting, and then it's fine. But here, it's gonna be gross until like September.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like here. It's like
You're in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind when it's arid though. That doesn't bother me as much.
The dry heat.
Yeah, you're not sweating profusely at all times.
No, but you can feel your skin like bake. It's like when you open your oven, like you turn your oven on to like, cup 200 and open the door and that blast that hits you, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I've been out and I'm like walking around. I'm like, this is, it's 105, but but I'm not drenched. I had an apartment. I didn't have air conditioning. You'd bathe in the summer and get out and you'd like towel off and you're like, and I'm still damp. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Oh man.
Josh, you're New England?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, what part of Pennsylvania?
Down south I'm in York.
Oh, the home of Live.
Yes, unfortunately.
The only thing I know about York is that they're.
I didn't know they were from there.
They made shirts that said "Straight out of York."
Yeah, unfortunately,
Really?
they're all my exact age too, so that was unavoidable.
See, and when I drive to my parents in Jersey, you do pass York, but you also go through Mechanicsburg, that's where Poison's from.
Yes, so you've got Poison and Live, just 20 miles apart.
Yeah, so that's what that area of Pennsylvania boasts.
It's on the welcome signs.
I'm sure there's some other I feel like there's some other terrible bands.
I don't know. I think those two are the. Could it get much worse?
What was it?
Creed? It was Creed from there.
They're from Florida. They're from Florida.
Oh yeah.
Maybe Fuel.
I'm proud to say
it might have been from Pennsylvania.
Who was that?
Fuel.
They may have been. There's something about that that.
So I think there's some Pennsylvania connection.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's all right. Jersey doesn't. I mean, we have Bon Jovi forever. So.
You guys have Springsteen too.
And Springsteen. If you ever want to see a band for 4 hours, you go see Springsteen. Well, I think Arizona has someone cool.
Not really.
We
claim Alice Cooper. We can't. We claim
Carnage was from Arizona.
Who?
Cephalic Carnage, the grindcore band.
Oh, really?
The only. It's like that's. Yeah, and I guess the Coop lives there.
He lives here, but yeah, he's from Detroit, but he migrated here, so I don't know if that really counts.
It counts for something. You got something.
Stevie
We just have
Nicks.
retired pro wrestlers.
Yeah. Stevie Nicks. We make a big deal about Stevie Nicks.
Why didn't she live there?
Yeah. I think she grew up here too.
Yeah, I did not know that.
How about that?
When she came and ruined Fleetwood Mac.
I never would have thought that Stevie Nicks was from Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. That would explain the flowing robes.
Yeah, the pride of Phoenix.
Well, and
her and David Spade.
Oh, is he from Phoenix too?
He was from Scottsdale. Yeah.
Oh.
There's a school there. No, I'm mixing up with Flagstaff. My cousin lives in Flagstaff, and everyone's like, "Ooh, Flagstaff."
Really? The weather's a lot better there.
I don't know. She likes it, so and she's from Hawaii, and she loves Flagstaff.
Yeah, people that live up there like are really into it. Like it's almost like two different. There's like northern Arizona, that's like Flagstaff, Prescott, Payson, Sedona, and then there's southern Arizona, it's Phoenix, Tucson, and then it's like two separate entities. Like it really is.
Well, it's such a massive state too.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like once you get up a certain elevation, it's like green and paradise, and then
Really?
yeah. Like Flagstaff is all pine trees and it's a nice greenery, forests.
I think you just always assume it's like arid plains and like mesas and stuff.
Yeah, it is down here. That's where
Yeah.
that's the barren wasteland that I live in.
Right.
But no, up there it's different.
Was Breaking Bad Arizona?
In New
That was in
Mexico.
New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Close. It's similar, dude. It's so similar. Like when I'd see some of the houses and the scenery. I'm like, oh, that looks just like Arizona.
That's so funny. Yeah. I mean, they're neighbors, sort of.
Mhm.
Yes, actually neighbors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know. It's a pretty cool little state. I mean, it's so like chill, you know.
I mean, everyone still stops through there too when they're touring. Like you got to stop. Like Texas to California is a fucking haul.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. A lot of people don't stop in Arizona anymore for some reason. Like that Dead Boys Briefs tour that they just did.
Yeah.
Not coming to Arizona. They're coming everywhere around it, but not here.
It's coming to Atlanta now that you mentioned it should be coming to Atlanta.
Oh, I'm sure it is, dude. I'm sure.
Well, when I first moved here, I moved from New York, and like we obviously got everything, and then I noticed that in Atlanta we got like 30% of what New York was getting, which was they would hit like Charlotte and then shoot over to Nashville, and I was like, what the hell? Like we're a major city.
Yeah.
It's gotten much better.
I'm sure. Everybody still thinks this place is just all like country. It's a country town. Why would we stop there?
Well, I think there's that illusion that like Athens, Georgia is this hot music town, and I'm like in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s. I was like, but not since then. And then people try to like no, these bands. I was like, name me a band in the last 10 years out of Athens. And like,
Yeah.
it's just, but yeah, but if you play Athens, you don't play Atlanta.
Is it far apart?
It's like 90 minutes, but it's enough that it's two
distance.
completely different crowds.
Hmm.
Like if there's a show in Athens on like a Tuesday, I'm like, well, I guess I'm not seeing that band because it's fucking Tuesday and it's really far.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if to like work in the morning. It's like 90 minutes.
And the
there
drive
and
home,
it's
it's
back.
country roads. It's like
Ooh.
it's pretty country going home.
Ooh, yeah. I don't like that. The older I get, the more I can see the dangers of that.
I think I was saying to my wife, I was like, we're just Ubering from now on, going out on weekends. And she's like, why? I'm like the parking, like the driving. I'm like, and just can't roll the dice anymore.
So is that what you do?
To Uber out, and not to Athens, but like if I were to go to a show in Atlanta.
And so how far is that?
6 miles.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. But no, I don't blame you because all the clubs downtown where stuff's happening. Yeah. You can't, there's no parking. You drive around for like half an hour.
Yeah. You're messing around looking for parking. It's just not worth it. It's the headache.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that you mentioned that because I work maybe like 15 minutes from downtown and I'm like, I'm going to park my car at my work and then Uber from there.
Oh yeah. I would do that.
Yeah.
I would totally do that. That's totally worth it.
It's like 15, I think it was like $15.
Yeah,
Uber.
totally worth it. They said you're not screwing around looking for parking and battling people for a spot.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you agree because like I ran up by my wife. My wife's like, are you crazy? $30? Totally worth it. My sanity's worth it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I was saying to my wife too, like, I'm like, you only have 3 drinks and you're kind of legally over. And I'm like, I can't mess around with a DUI.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know how it is in Atlanta, but here it's like super strict. I mean,
It's not super strict here. It's super expensive. Like everyone who gets a DUI keeps their license, but it's like a year of like court, probation officers, DUI school, lawyers, and they're like, it'll cost. This is years ago. It was like $10,000, and I was like,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to spend $10,000 on that nonsense. It could be avoided.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you get popped really hard,
Dang.
but you keep your license. But
But
still,
yeah, you have to like sell your car.
you're going to probation. You have like P10, like the whole thing. Just it's all your time spent.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's like, I'm like, I'd rather spend $30 on Ubers than deal with nonsense.
Oh hell yeah, especially you. That I mean, they'll just drive door to door.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and we have bad public transportation here, so that's not even an option, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, strangely.
Yeah, we have it here too, but I thought most major cities were like way.
You would think. Atlanta's made itself a driving city. Like I hadn't had a car for 10 years before I moved here, and I was like, I got to buy a car. It's been 10 years.
Yes, like Phoenix is like all. It used to be a lot worse, but when I was growing up, you go downtown Phoenix, like we used to go skate in downtown and like at night and stuff because there was nobody there. It was like a fucking ghost town. Like there was, you're among the skyscrapers and among all the, like all the commerce and during the day, and then at night everybody shoots off to the suburbs, like all the surrounding suburbs. And downtown there's nobody. And it was so great when we were young, just drive down there and just screw around. So you need a car because you need to drive from the outer limits there.
I think I used to work in Midtown Manhattan, and if you like worked late, you get out at like 7:30 or 8. It was a ghost town because it's just offices. There's no living space, so everyone just left. But you were like walking home, you're like, this is weird. There's literally no one here.
Yeah, it's like Twilight Zone.
Yeah, like, you have a minute. Like I haven't seen people for like 3 blocks.
Yeah, that's weird. I wouldn't expect that from Manhattan.
There's certain areas where it's just all businesses, and there's just nothing. A certain time of night, there's just nothing happening. There's no like restaurants. There's no. Everything's closed.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Crazy.
So I actually wanted to start by taking it back to the beginning of Spaghetty Town Records. You've been doing this label for several years now. You've really become one of the most popular and best labels in the punk rock and roll underground. So I'm just wondering, like, what inspires you to start this label, and how did you come up with the vision for what kind of label Spaghetty Town would be?
Oh, you're so flattering, Josh, with such kind words. What inspired it? Well, if you go way back, I'd worked at major labels when I was younger. And it's fun. It's great. There's lots of money and lots of money to be spent. But you wind up working a lot of records you kind of hate. Like you try to find something you liked about the band. You're like, well, their drummer was really cool when he came to the office. So like I can work this. It'll be cool. But I mean, they're nothing you're really proud. Like, at the end of the year, you look back and you're like, ugh, I can't believe I sold my soul for this garbage. But the kind of in my head was thinking like, if I could one day like put out cool records I like that I'm excited about, like that, that would be the dream. But when you're 30, you don't really have the money to do it, and then you kind of hit an age, you're like, I think I can pull this off. Like I think I can, get the money together, scrape the money together to do a record. Then you're like, oh no, and now I need a band. Also, I need some bands, and then you have to kind of convince some bands that you have some clue of what you're doing, then to get the ball rolling. So it's I guess it was decades in the works.
So speaking of the early days of Spaghetty Town, the first record you guys put out, or not you, but did you start it with anybody?
No, it's just me. Still a one-person operation. My wife helps sometimes.
Oh, cool. Okay. So yeah, the first record you put out was Motosierra's, I'm not sure if I pronounced this right. And I speak Spanish. Isn't that dumb? Is it Buzo Nuevo 7-inch?
Buzo Nuevo.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. They're from Uruguay, and I think Uruguay has some funky slang.
Uh-huh. Well, I think Motosierra is like chainsaw.
It's chainsaw.
Yeah. Yes. But so what was it about that band or those songs that made you say this is going to be Spaghetti Town's first?
So it's a funny. Well, there's some funny parts of the story. I was in Peru visiting some friends, and we were partying at their apartment, and they just kept playing. It wasn't Spotify or iTunes. They would just play stuff off YouTube. It was like the party music, and they played a couple cool like Latino bands, and I was like, "What's this Motosierra one?" And they're like, "This band's the best. This is the best band, like best band in South America." And I was like, "Yeah, they're really, really cool." And they're like, so I think I took a picture of it on my phone or on my camera. I took a picture of like the screen on YouTube, and I was like, "Okay, I'll remember this when I get home." Well, I gotta remember this. So I just been following them on like Facebook, and I'd broken my leg, and I noticed the singer of Motosierra also had broken his leg, Marcos. There's this funny picture of him being wheeled out in a wheelchair, coming out of the hospital, like smoking a cigarette. And I was like, this guy is so rock and roll. You're not supposed to, roll out, light up. So we had just started chatting on like Facebook Messenger. And I was kind of like, what's the deal with the band? And he was like, well, we're kind of a band. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, well, we haven't recorded or written anything, and we haven't really played any shows for a while. I was like, but we're still a band. And I don't know if it was the regular prodding of messaging him, like, hey, like, you guys play any shows? You got any music coming? You write anything? But eventually they got some songs together and they sent them to me, and I was like, let's do it. And I think they were excited. I mean, obviously that someone was interested, but I think someone was in the United States was also interested.
So you think you pretty much were 100% the reason why Motosierra started getting their act together?
I would say I was part of the reason.
Wow.
The regular prodding. But I know that's what those guys love to do, so I'm sure they would have done it eventually anyway. But I definitely was kind of riding them regularly about, get into the studio. It took a while. I mean, it took like a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took a long, long time.
And so were you waiting for them to put out, like, were you saying this is going to be Spaghetti Town number one?
Yeah. I remember my wife came home, and I was like, I always told you I'd do a record label if I had a band. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I got a band. You just got to write a record now, or write some songs now.
Ah, wow.
So you mentioned when you start out with a record label, you're just looking maybe for just that one band to have faith in you to actually get started. And it really starts that small. But now at this point, you've put out a lot of records. You've worked with a lot of bands.
Yes.
So I guess now you get to the point where probably you have bands sending you stuff and contacting you. So has this ever happened where a band sent you something and you were like, wow, this is so great. I've got to work with this band?
A couple. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting demos on the regular, and I really do try to listen to everything. Because there may be something in the mix that I don't know what it is, never heard it, but I'd be like, wow, this band is really, really killer. There's a few times. I mean, a lot of the bands that I've worked with are kind of in the this scene that we're involved with. So you kind of know them casually, or they know you, or they know someone who knows you, or vice versa. But most recently, it was definitely the Mad Rollers record from Italy, and I remember I got it, and they sent it to me, and I was like, this is really cool. It reminds me of early Judah. I'm like, I love early Judah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even care that it sounds like Judah. I'm like, I think this record's awesome. And we exchanged some emails, and I kind of was just like, look, like, I like you guys, but I'm like, I can't take the whole record on. Like, I just can't take the whole load. If you could find a partner in Europe or something, and they're from Italy. I'm like, if you could find someone in Italy or Europe, I was like, we could probably make this work. And it lucked out. Like, a couple months later, they wrote me, and they're like, Contra Records in Germany's interested. And I was like, all right, we can make it work. Like, I'm interested then.
Nice.
Suicide Generation from England. That guy who's Sebastian, that guy hammered me a lot. And I was like, this band's awesome. But it's the same kind of thing. I'm like, I can do this in the US, but like, we need some other partners around the world too, to make it work. Because weirdly, I did a single, and I've always said this to people, I'm like, Americans don't buy a lot of singles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I buy singles. Singles are fun. I think they're cool. But I think for 3 or 4 songs, they're expensive. Like you'll buy them at a show, but you won't buy them in mail order because after you pay $7 in mail order, then you pay tax, then you pay shipping. You just
Yeah,
paid $12 or $13.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, but Europeans love singles, but Americans we have a little harder time. But yeah,
That's
Suicide
interesting.
Generation was another cooler one, and Bambies from Canada. It's usually bands that they're from overseas or just that haven't played the U.S. That something comes across and you're like, this band's cool. Where are they from?
It's interesting. I remember when I was doing audio ammunition, we would get submissions to just to review,
Sure.
and I'd be like, "Hey, is this? I want more information." They just send me their songs, killer stuff, and they're like, I was like, Is anybody releasing this? Is it on? No, it's just on our Bandcamp. I'm like, son of a, like, man,
Yeah,
someone needs to do.
It's tough too because like there's a lot of cool records that like just go to Bandcamp and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's out there, and it needs a little extra push.
Mhm.
It needs a little extra hand because I told a friend, I'm like, a lot of bands know how to like write songs, record, and stuff, but like the back end stuff they don't know as well, or it's a learning process. And not all bands,
I'll
but
say.
some bands.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning process. But we'll get to Bandcamp later. I have a question about, but anyway, I wanted to ask you real quick. When you started Spaghetty Town, were there any labels that served as an inspiration for you? Like labels you listened to like as a kid, like SST or whatever, Discord, something like that served as an inspiration?
So I think Discord was something that was on my radar. I mean, I bought everything Discord put out as a kid, but like when I was a teenager, they were already like been running for years and were huge. And like some labels when I was younger that like I watched like grow from like, a dude, in his bedroom to like a big label would be like Revelation Records, the hardcore label, or like Victory Records when I was younger. It's like whatever those guys put out, I just bought it. It didn't matter. And then after a while, you're like, well, they're not doing hardcore anymore. They're doing this other thing. And you're like, well, check out this other thing too. Like okay, this is kind of cool too. Those guys did really, really, really well. And definitely like labels I followed. As I got older, like cool indie labels and, you would watch, then same thing. Like whatever they put out, you're like this is on my radar. It's like, like a Goner Records or like a In the Red.
Yeah.
Or even like Yeah Right in Canada, like Tony has been putting out cool stuff for some time.
There's a lot. And so quick sub question though for you. Do you, if I find it, there's an interesting point, like a threshold when you become, like you were saying, dude, putting out records to, I need to get some more people to help me. Like, is Spaghetty Town something that you're just going to try to keep as your own, or if it grows, it grows? Like, are you just going to?
I like the way it is now because I have my finger in I know everything that's happening at all times.
Yeah.
What should be happening, what I'm doing, who's talking to whom. But it would be great to grow also, not keep a day job or have someone else giving you a hand with things because it's tough doing everything yourself. Just the mail order alone, filling mail order by yourself is exhausting. Like a record comes out, like, I'll go do my day job, come home, shower, eat dinner, and then, you pack records for a little bit before you go to bed, and you do that for a while, a couple, 2 weeks, and you're like, I just need to get 20 more to go. I'm almost done. And you think it'd be really easy, but you're like, I want to pack this really well. I want to make sure the person gets the right thing. I want to make sure it's packed correctly. Like, we know mail doesn't get handled that well. But to grow would be awesome. Like, whatever you could do to, you always kind of hope like maybe this will be the next band that kind of blows up and like a new scene comes back out again. Guitar rock gets popular again.
I'm sure it will, man. It's cyclical. It'll come back.
That's what they always say. I always think that, like, people always say it's always cyclical. So
if it's not coming back already, I almost think it's already coming back.
there's bands out there doing it. You know, like I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, we're like, where did White Reaper come from, and how do they kind of like get kind of popular, and they write pretty good guitar rock songs.
Yeah, Linda's, you know,
out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Amel and the Sniffers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those guys toured super hard. They were on the road for years, but they're huge.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So I kind of have a sort of a spur of the moment question. Hope I don't throw you off
Uh-oh.
here. But it's just weird for me because I actually think it's cool that when I get emails about your record label, it's actually from you.
Yeah.
Because so many times you get all this stuff from publicists, and that was just so foreign to me because I never got anything from publicists for like 20 years in this industry, and now it's like 90% publicists.
Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, do you do all of that stuff yourself? Do you have any help in writing these press releases?
So the really well-written ones were not, I paid people to write them. Sometimes the bands will have someone really good, like it's someone in the band who's really a good writer, and they'll just send it to me. I usually be like, hey, can you send me like a bio or something? And I'll try to craft it into something better. Some bands have been like, I will pay this person, X amount of dollars to write something. They're like, I feel weird writing about myself. Which I get, I totally get. So they're like, I had so-and-so who knows us write a thing, write us up something. But then I'll try to craft it into something I can send out that looks and sounds professional and palatable. But the earlier days, like I look back and I'm like, these are terrible. Like, well, I wrote a paragraph. I need more.
Yeah, everybody looks. I've written a few bios for people, and I've also even just going back to my old record reviews. It's so cringy. I can't even do it.
Yeah, there's like some. I was like, I had nothing. Why didn't I ask the band more questions or something?
And isn't it weird how many bands don't have like sometimes I'll just want to check out it because I know nothing. I'll either get a 7-inch or I'll find it on Bandcamp or something, and there's no information on the band. You go to their Facebook page, there's nothing there. Like, guys,
yeah, nothing at all. I feel like that's changed over like the last 10 years. You used to go
so?
Yeah, you used to go on Facebook and you'd have bands that have full bios, but now everyone is just everyone has almost no bio there. It's just
sometimes I just want to know what city they're from. Like, where are you guys based in? And I'm like, you're giving me, and now I have to scroll through your post to see where you play on the regular to figure out what state you live in.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. There's a few bands that sent me really well written bios, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I am a bad writer.
No, it definitely helps. A good bio definitely helps.
It's huge. I mean, even just having a website, they're going do I need a website? Do I need a band website? And you're like, they'll ask, and I'm like, looks more professional if you have a little band website. It gives you more web presence.
Yeah, and you can even I'm no expert, but from what I can see, I used to have a WordPress site that kind of masqueraded as a website. Like you can buy the domain and then just use the web, the format, but it'll still be blah blah blah.com, and WordPress wouldn't be anywhere near that unless you scroll at the very bottom. It'll be powered by WordPress.
I still see some WordPress sites.
Yeah.
But I'm not, you're like, cool, you got a website. I've talked to some bands who kept Square websites, and they're like, but the fees start to add up. They're like, you can do a really easy drop and drag Square website, and it's easy to do your merch, but they're like, the fees just kind of add up. I guess that's why a lot of bands, Bandcamp is super easy. You can direct people to Bandcamp. Yeah,
and you can sell merch. You can everything on there.
I think it's free for artists. I mean, they take their cut, but I don't think it costs anything.
Yeah, cool. So I know a lot of times I've heard musicians say when people who write songs will say, damn, I wish I'd come up with those lyrics, or I wish I'd come up with that riff or whatever. But you as a label owner, Are there any records out there that you feel you wish Spaghetti Town would have put out?
I mean, yeah, like there's cool records I've had to pass on that in like retrospect, I was like, oh, it was so cool.
Yeah,
I wish, the timing was better. And there's one that actually I was thought about that I've listened to it so many times that I was like, I can't imagine if like this record came across my desk, like my head would explode. Like if I got the CD in the mail, and it's kind of a, wishful thinking. The Carbonas self-titled record, which is it's an Atlanta band, but I was like, oh my God, I'm like, if this came across my desk, I'm like, it fits so well. It's this like just great punk rock record. They're local. The record I've listened to 1,000 times. It's fast. And I'm like, I wonder what the guys at Goner thought when they got it, because again, Goner was probably getting hammered with CDs. Yes, probably, yeah, CDs in the mail. So that would be the in the past wishful thinking. And I guess I got into this band a few years ago, and I was like, oh, I wish I could have put this out. Chubby and the Gang from England.
Oh yes.
Chase from Rambler turned me on to it, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I would have put this record out in a heartbeat. I was like, this band is so good and they're so cool, and I totally get what they're doing, and the imaging and the graphics and like the videos. I was like, I love this band.
Do you like the Chisel?
Oh, I do like the Chisel, and I was talking to a friend about it the other day because they're doing some stateside shows, I think.
Wow.
Don't worry, nowhere near you or me. Maybe near Josh.
New York, probably.
There may be
right?
a Pennsylvania gig or Ohio.
Oh.
It was just dates that I was like, none of these work for me. I think there was a New York date, not York, New York. My friend of mine, he's like, yeah, I'm not really into it. And I was like, no, you got to listen to the album. Like it's an album. Like it's not like a singles record. It's an album. You got to put it on beginning to end, like track for track. It just really gets going. I love that record. Yeah, another one where I was like, oh, I have to buy this from England, and what a pain am I? Pain, the shipping and the waiting.
Yeah, I know. No, they're great too. Those are other guitar bands that are, making their way up.
It's Chubby and the Gang. I felt like came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that band is just killer. I wish I could have been involved with something like that, because I don't think they have anyone in the States still.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's wild when you think about how big they are.
Yeah,
what a massive band they are. They do
really. Oh, I said like Amel and the Sniffers, like just kind of came onto the scene and blew everyone away.
Mm-hmm.
Like out of nowhere, you're just like, who's this band? Where are they from? Like, how I've never heard. They've only been a band for how long? Like, this is they're incredible.
Yeah, and they've come to Phoenix, which is kudos to them.
Amel and the Sniffers were touring machines.
Yeah. Chats also.
I keep missing them in Atlanta. They always play venues I don't frequent, like on the other end of town. Like
they were pretty good, man. They play. I mean, this is kind of a cliche, but they play so much harder and faster than the records. I mean, they did a cover of Sham 69's "Borstal Breakout."
Oh, cool!
It sounded pretty good. That's really very cool.
Good. It was funny when you're talking about bands you wish you could put out. I mean, I'm friendly with this band, but the guys in Wildlife are such a killer band, and like we talk all the time. And I'm like, I wish you were on my label. I'm like, but you're on a cooler label. And it's not even a joke about Wicked Cool. I'm like, you got Little Steven and all that going for you.
It's hard to beat the power of Little Steven, man.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. He's a big supporter of rock music.
Yeah, he is.
So I was glad you mentioned Bambies a little earlier.
Oh, yeah, from Montreal. Yeah, Montreal.
Because that, I think, is one of your best albums, and certainly one of the most underrated things you've put out. And they're awesome. And I remember the first time I heard them when they put out that single on Rita Records. And
Red Guitar.
Blown away, yeah. So I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what it was like working with them and putting out that record.
So it's funny. Jamie, I did the Pale Lips record, the second Pale Lips record, and that's Jamie's label.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Rita or Retta, but either way, like, so she told them when they had their album, you should reach out to Ted. Maybe he'll be into it. And I kind of said to Jamie, I was like, why don't you put it out? You already did the single. And she's like, I'm only doing singles. I'm not doing albums.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'll check it out. So I got it, and I thought it was really, really cool. And then my wife walked by, when I was playing it, and she's like, what's this? It's cool. And I was like, it is cool. And she's like, no, I really like it. Like, play more. Like, I want to hear more. And so I always joke, I was like, you're my my A&R person, my tester. I'm like, if you think it's cool, then it's probably pretty good. So she played that, and those dudes are really mellow. They're super nice, really easy to work with, like super low drama. And one guy's from, they all live in Canada, but one guy's from France, one guy's born in Canada, and the other guy's born in Costa Rica. So they're like this weird, like international band out of Montreal. And I hope they come down to the States one day, because that would be awesome. I think they'd be super fun to see live.
Oh, yeah.
I know they've talked about going to Europe, which I guess would work for them as well, since they all speak French and some Spanish and English. They're super nice, just mellow dudes. Sometimes I'm like, you're the guys in this band? Like, you just seem like you're so quiet and easygoing. I love those dudes. And that record is super fun. Even when they delivered the art, I was like, this art is perfect. Like, I love the art on this. I love that it's a double A-side. Like, it's like 12 songs and super short, so they were able to fit it on twice on the same record. Which I kind of like when band. I know like Tommy and the Commies did that. Also Canadian.
Yeah, both of those bands we would very much like to have on our show as well. But because Josh and I love the Bambies a lot.
Yeah, and then I lucked out in the early COVID days. I was like, hey, I'm trying to do like a live web show if you want to play some songs. And I'd never seen them play live, didn't know anything, and they were like, I think we can do that. And they sent me that video for the I forget what my show is called now, Rock and Roll Circus. They sent me like 4 songs in 10 minutes or something, 5 songs.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I'll send it back to you. They look cool. They play well. Like, seem like a fun band. I think they just did a bunch of shows with Bob Log in Canada, which is perfect too.
Interesting. So, man, send that. Is it still on YouTube?
Yeah, it's definitely on YouTube. The Spaghetti Town Rock and Roll Circus. There's a version 1 and a version 2. I think they're in the second one. Okay. Yeah, I'm almost positive they're in the second one.
Okay, well, if I know that exists, man, I'll watch it all. So
it's great. It's super cool. I mean, it was like we weren't seeing any shows then. Like, no one was playing live, and I was like, here's a chance. We're all sitting at home, like, hungry for some live music.
Yeah. A guy that we interviewed, Daniel, he's in a band called Moral Panic.
Yeah.
And they're from Brooklyn, and they practiced like on a second story, and it opens up to the street, and they just opened up their windows and doors and just start playing out to like the crowd. And the crowd would just gather.
Right?
Yeah. I thought that was killer.
That's awesome.
But so my next question is kind of the same thing as Josh's, only about Sweet Things. I dig that band a lot, and if I'm not mistaken, they were the second band you put out.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not even sure how they found me because I was still relatively new. Lorne, who was a guitar player, wrote me this really well-crafted email. I mean, some bands send demos, and it's just like, check out my demo, and like that's all it'll say. I'm sure you get the same thing, like, listen to our record. Like you said, like no bio, no info. And he wrote this really well-written email about the band and where they're from, bands he played with. And he sent links to Love to Leave and Cocaine Ass Liquor Blues.
Oh, man.
And he's like, would you be interested? And I'm like looking at the email, and I was like, I know 2 of those guys in that band. I knew Sam and Dave already.
Really?
Yeah, I know. We had mutual. I met him in New York. We had mutual friends. We met at a bar and hung out once. I was like, I met those dudes like 6 months ago. I'm like, they casually mentioned they were in a band. And so they had the songs done, and I thought they were real cool. And I was like, we'll give it a go. Like this cool, like New York rock record.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Dogs D'Amour,
Yeah.
Hanoi Rocks,
Choir Boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. London Choir Boys. Exactly. Yeah. It's just real stripped down glam rock, no frills.
And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. It's different from Moto. And then we got great response from that too. So that it kind of like keeps you going, keeps you kind of like, okay, we're doing the right thing here.
Yeah. It's killer, man. I love that 7-inch and that band.
Yeah. Those dudes are awesome. They just played here last weekend and, they were great. They're super tight. We all had a good time.
Are you into the Sweet Things, Josh?
I love the Sweet Things, especially the early stuff.
The new LP is really good too.
With when Lauren was still in the band, so I've known him a while.
And when he just did a new single too, which is cool.
Yeah,
he sent it, and I was like, "Wow, it's 1:47. Like this is so confusing." Like 4 and 5 minute long Sweet Things songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, pardon?
Sweet Things. Now that's a band I think should be huge. Like,
yeah, right.
A lot of these bands are getting huge. These like big time like 70s rock bands, guitar rock bands. Like, yeah, they could still blow up.
And they're still young.
Yes, the potential for that. So I'm wondering, this whole international, global vinyl pressing crisis that's been going on, and all these delays. You put out so much vinyl, so many LPs. So how do you cope with the fact that it's getting so slow now to make an album?
It's awful. It's just all. I think at this point, not that we're lucky. I think at this point, most people know like this takes a very long time. It's gotten a hair better. At one point, it was like a year, and now it's like 9 months, which isn't much better. But there was a stage where it was like 3 and 4 months, and you're like, all right, cool, this is cool. But there's not much you can do. You try, you plan so hard, you do so much marketing and press, and then like on the Ravagers record, for example, like we got a date, the plant was pressing it. We're like, okay, cool, we have a date. And I was like, it'll be done in like 2 days. They'll ship it. I'll get it in like 10 days. So we have a good timeline. So we set a date, a release date, a digital release date. And the day before it went to print, the pressing plant's like, sorry, it's delayed another month. And we're like, what can you do? And then they were, we were all freaking out because they had that tour with Susie Moon. I think the records came like 10 days before the tour. I mean, we kind of accepted like, as long as the records come before the tour, we'll be okay. And like they came under the wire. But it's been really hard. It's been hard. It's been hard for everyone. Like everyone I know who's in a band or does a label is just frustrated. And I think at one point, maybe a year and a half ago, when I was getting some cool demos, I was like, I have 5 records in print, right? Like with down payments tied up. And like thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm like, I can't even consider anything more until like these come out and I start recouping a little bit. There were so many records that were just, there's not much you can do. Your hands are kind of tied, but it's very frustrating. It's very hard. Like I know labels have been like, we're not doing this anymore because it's become impossible. And it's definitely been very frustrating for everyone, the bands, me, labels, fans, everyone.
So you seem like you're like a lover of vinyl. Like, would you ever consider doing like tapes or CDs as a...
I do. I love vinyl. I absolutely love vinyl. I have a ridiculous collection. It's controlling my life. I DJ vinyl, which why do I punish myself? It's so much work.
Yeah.
Is their reward? I don't know. I mean, I enjoy. I've been doing it so long. I've done CDs, and I started doing CDs. I remember who I started doing CDs with. I think it was the Sweet Things because they do have base that buys CDs, and CDs are cheap and they get turned around real quick. So I've done a handful of CDs on some bands. I don't think I'll ever do tapes. I wasn't a fan in the 80s.
See, I was going to say, I bet you are, I mean, I don't mean to call you old, but I bet you are old enough to remember when tapes were around and it was the shittiest format.
You couldn't leave them in your car because they
they break, they fall apart,
they warp real bad. Yeah. I mean, not that vinyl doesn't warp, but like I don't worry about like I'm gonna get about 100 plays out of this, and then it's just kind of gonna go hell.
Yeah, it's miraculous. It'll just snap.
Whatever. Or it just starts playing slowly for no reason, just stretches a little bit. I would be shocked if I ever did a tape. I'll still do a little bit of CDs and keep on doing vinyl. Just keep on with the vinyl. I mean, there's plants opening all the time, but it's
there? That's good.
It's going to pop up on the regular. So I mean, that's promising. I mean, I think all the real big plants, it'd just be impossible to get in now. But I think there's a bunch of the smaller plants around still.
They're stuck with all the Metallica's Black Album reissues and
Taylor Swift record store day pressings. And then exactly. Multiple times a year.
Yeah. So now I'm getting to my Bandcamp question. So I've noticed there's not a whole lot on Spaghetty Town's Bandcamp page. Is that something you do on purpose, or?
So initially, Bandcamp for labels was $20 a month, and I had it for a little while, and then I was like, "Why am I paying for this? It doesn't I'm not seeing $20 a month."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just didn't have the volume. And so I got a Big Cartel website, and at the time it was free. And I was like, I got this free Big Cartel. It's super great. I love it. And then that became $5 a month to $10 a month, which now is ironically $20 a month.
Mm.
And so I kicked myself a little. I was like, I wish I kind of stuck with the Bandcamp because I think it is a good tool. Actually, what I like too is when you buy something, you do get the download automatically, which is great. But I kind of have encouraged artists to use Bandcamp, and so they can kind of get the download money from Bandcamp. I mean, I don't need the download money, so I've kind of let it become their thing. So I think the only band I have on Bandcamp is Sweet Things because they have not signed up for Bandcamp.
Oh, they haven't? Okay, yeah.
Like they're on Spotify and iTunes and the whole lot. And I was like, hey, you should upload to Bandcamp. And they weren't, for whatever reason, didn't do it. So I was like, I'll just put it up so they have a Bandcamp presence. But I think pretty much everyone uses Bandcamp. I think it's a good tool.
It's neat. Yeah. I mean, as a consumer, I like it.
I've bought tons of stuff on Bandcamp. I use it all the time. I think it's cool. I have my little catalog there.
Mm-hmm.
But I just haven't. I don't know. I guess it's just another thing you have to manage. But every once in a while, I get my little alert like, you made 72 cents.
You're like,
put it right into your account, 72 cents.
Direct deposit.
They do it right away every time. Every time I'm like, I was thinking like you could wait, a couple months, $10.
Wait to build up a little.
A little bit. It's fine. I mean, I'll take my 72 cents.
So there might not be much on your Bandcamp, but you have a very impressive Facebook page.
Yeah,
you do, man.
That is rare because a lot of record labels, they'll have something on there, but it'll just be just to promote their stuff or promote their bands. But you have like all kinds of like cool content and fun articles and just things that are entertaining and enjoyable. So, what is your approach to using social media?
So I do have a little bit of a background in marketing, a little bit. And they always said like, you always tell you like when a business, you can't just post your own stuff because no one cares. And no one wants to see like just your own ads.
Just self-promoting.
They're like, no one clicks on that. And so for Facebook, like what drives it is like likes and shares and comments and whatnot. And so, half the stuff I post is going to be, label oriented stuff. The other half is just like There's a cool article about Danny Boyle's pistol. Like Johnny Rotten's angry about it. It's kind of a little, let's see what Johnny Rotten has to say. That kind of gets people, a little more involved and engaged. But I also thought about it. I'm like, this is stuff I would probably post to my personal page.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to annoy everyone who's not into like punk rock and roll with all this great stuff about the Guar documentary. And so I'm like, oh, I know I do have an outlet now. I can post it on here along with, total label related stuff. And I think even the other day I was like, I need some non-label stuff. Like I've just been posting like shows and releases and reviews. I'm like, I need to find something kind of cool. I was like, hello, Guar documentary. Like that's super cool. And I'm like, I'll go see that.
You do, man. You put a lot of cool stuff on there.
Well, it's free. It's a free tool.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't I use it? And it's weird when you're trying to figure out like when people read like when's the best time to post, and you read articles and there's times and days that are the best. And sometimes it like knocks out of the park, and other times you're like, okay, I guess it didn't work this time.
Mm-hmm.
Or some stuff does better on Instagram than it does Facebook. And I haven't tried to figure out TikTok yet.
Oh man, I can't even do that.
I'd have to find a teenager to show me.
Right. I was going to say,
asking teenagers to show me how to TikTok.
Is that our next move, Jay?
I don't know.
Promoting the podcast is to start doing TikTok videos.
You guys could do choreo.
Yeah, we do little dances, little jigs.
I would watch that. But I mean, there's all these cool free tools. I mean, they're not free, but they're not costing me any money exactly. But they're scraping my info. But I take advantage of them. Why wouldn't I take advantage of them?
I got really frustrated with Facebook when during the Audio Ammunition days. I put stuff on there, and then I get this little pop up that says, 10 people saw this post. 10 of your followers. If you want 100 people to see this post, you can pay $10. If you want 500 people to see this post, you can pay $25. I'm like, fuck this.
I noticed. I've told other friends, I'm like, I feel like occasionally I have to feed the beast and throw a few dollars in there for them to be like, okay, he spends a little money. We'll give him a little bit extra love.
They bet you they do. They like
I'm sure there's some algorithm that's like, this guy spends no money. We're going to push his stuff down. This guy spends $10. We'll give him a little extra push.
Yeah.
For sure. But also the rules are always changing. Everything always changes. So, but I've done it occasionally if a tour or a new record. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to spend $10.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Yeah. It's not the dream situation.
No, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes you must sacrifice a little to the beast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Instagram's funny. You get better. I feel like I get better, more response there, I guess, because it's just quicker and easier when people scroll and swipe.
I feel like it helps. It's more engaging than Facebook. Man, like I said, and you're right. It's like the time of day, and weekends sucked for me. Like we got nothing. But yeah, the time of day, the day, but Instagram, it seems like you get so much more momentum,
And then the other thing, and this actually works for all of us, is I'm thinking like East Coast and West Coast times.
Yeah.
Because I'm going like, okay, noon is good for the East Coast. That's okay for the West Coast. Like it's 9 a.m. So
I always think about that when I'm posting shows, because like our podcast, like our little provider has a schedule on there. So I'm like, okay, so like you are on East Coast time, so I'll probably have it come out early in the morning, East, like 7 or 8 a.m. while it's like 4 or 5 a.m. here.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because it's going to be or whoever, like You know, when we had Moral Panic, you know, that's in Brooklyn, you know, had a
Oh,
music
yeah.
so yeah, that makes a difference too.
I even had some like reviews out of like Europe, and I'm like, oh, went live at 3 a.m. Does me no good.
Yeah, exactly. It's having to pay attention to all that. I don't know how many times I've Googled, you know, what time is it in London right now, or what time is it in, you know, whatever, Montreal or whatever. But so anyway, man, it's been really cool talking to you, and I know you have to go and you're pressed for time. So as we wrap things up, Ted, I just want to ask, where can people go to buy your records?
You can just go to, well, there's 2 easy ways. You can just go to my website, spaghettytown.com, and that's spaghetti with a Y. And that'll take you to my store, which will actually just go to my Big Cartel store. And it's my Big Cartel, Spaghetty Town Records.bigcartel.com, I think, which is weird because I should know that. Yes, Spaghetty Town Records.bigcartel.com. I mean, I have stuff on Discogs. I mean, everyone uses Discogs. You can search almost everything I have. I should be on Discogs. Obviously, everything's on Spotify. Everything's on iTunes and Pandora and Deezer. But yeah, I mean, we love selling physical media and people who are buying this stuff. I'm always like, these people are real fans of music and they're fans of records, and they're making a little extra effort to search it out or find new bands. So it's always exciting. And I mean, I have my regular people who buy stuff for me, but every once in a while I'm like, I don't recognize that name. You're like, this guy's a first timer. Like, super cool. Yeah, because again, I'm hand packing everything myself. So
right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we're so appreciative of all the there's still a lot of music fans out there.
Oh man, I believe that there always will be.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing the other day where they're like less young people are picking up guitar, and I was like, but there's still people picking up learning guitar.
Oh yeah, man, the light will never go out. But you not only on your Big Cartel page can you pick up your records, but you can get Spaghetty Town T-shirts as well, which I keep meaning to get. I'll get one when you come back.
Yes. There's T-shirts. We made slip mats. There's always random stuff. I have to find some new swag item to make that's easy. I was gonna make hats once, and I was like, I have to buy special boxes for hats.
Oh, really?
You have to get a bigger box, a bigger square box.
But you don't have any hats right now, though, right?
No, I was gonna make them, and I was like, no, I'm like, then I have to buy like 50 of this other box that's gonna sit in my laundry room.
That blows. Yeah,
like little stuff you think about. You're like, ooh, I gotta buy this other special packaging. But I think we made patches, slip mats, shirts. I mean, shirts are always cool. We made hoodies once with the screen on the wrong side, and that was totally our bad.
What? It was on the front?
I meant to make zip-up hoodies.
And
I just made regular hoodies.
Oh.
And I went through my emails, and I was like, nope, I did not say zip-up. Like, this was 100% my $500 mistake.
Oh, man. Yeah, you know what's funny? I've been looking for a new hoodie because I've had the same Dirt Nap Records hoodie that I've had since like probably 2002.
Wow.
But if you make zip up hoodies, I will for sure buy one.
When hoodie season comes back around.
Awesome.
We're no way not in hoodie season.
Oh no. Yeah, are you kidding? Well, maybe it'll help me like trim a few pounds. I don't know.
Well, it's like swimsuit season, you have hoodie season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey man, stick around a little bit. I'm gonna read our little outro and then we'll chat a few more minutes.
Yeah, of course, dude.
But anyway, Ted, thank you again for coming on and chatting with us. And thank you, the listener, for tuning into our humble podcast. If you like what you've heard, please hit that subscribe button. And if possible, leave us a review to the podcast. Not only does it help our show, of course, but it helps spread the word on all the amazing folks like Ted and everything that they do. So this is Jay.
And this is Josh.
And we are the Born Too Late podcast signing off.